Season's greetings, Broad Coven. I'm here to drop in with you tonight to talk about the third day of Yuletide within the Norse tradition. We're going down to the roots here at Broad Coven, and I wanted to bring this forward at this time of year, partially because I really like to get down to the bottom of things. I like to understand, how did these traditions come into being? And there's always so much information that comes through that brings a lot of illumination. And I find it just really fascinating. But I also have Norse ancestry myself. So it's an aspect of my ancestry I haven't really dived into. And I thought, why not bring this forward at this time? Learn a little bit more about my roots as I share the roots of the holiday traditions with all of you. And so we're looking at mistletoe today. And why do we deck the halls? Why do we bring this greenery into our homes? Why is it such a central focal point of these holiday traditions? And when we think of mistletoe, we think of this tradition of hanging the mistletoe in hopes of getting a kiss, and having a little bit of that romance come into our lives during the holiday season. But it actually has a more kind of morbid, almost history behind it, which tends to be the way these things go. We tend to sort of dress up, the fairy tales or the lore that's passed around the campfire, and it goes through a bit of a morphing of meaning, much like that telephone game from childhood. It's like you start out whispering something in one person's ear, and then by the time it gets to the end of the line, it becomes something altogether different. And we got a little bit of that action here when we look at Norse tradition and its role in the symbolism of mistletoe. So there was a god, Balder, within Norse tradition, and Balder had a dream that he considered a very bad omen, where he died. And he went and expressed his concern to his mother, goddess Frigga, who is very similar to the goddess Venus, the goddess Aphrodite. She has those Venusian qualities. She's associated with love and beauty. But we also have to remember, when we're looking at that Venusian energy, these goddess energies aren't just about the romantic side of things. They also invoke a lot of the fierce energy, the warlike energy, going into battle. There's a reason why we have these sayings like all's fair in love and war. That is the very nature of Venus. Venus can be a bit fickle in that way. And Frigga is a very strong goddess energy. She's not just, about the love and the beauty. You'll often see her symbolized holding a shield, holding a sword. She's winged, which really invokes that spirit of the Valkyries. So she's a strong energy. And when Frigga heard about this concern from her son, she took it very seriously. And so she went and appeased to the spirits of the elementals, air, fire, water, and earth. And in terms of earth, she really connected with the energies of the plant allies and the animal spirits. And she asked them to provide protection for her son so he wouldn't suffer this fate. And there was agreement. But, we have this trickster, Loki, in the mix. And Loki was a mortal enemy of Balder and wanted to find the workaround. There's always a loophole. And if there's a loophole, then Loki is going to find it. So Loki, was able to trick, in a very sly way, he was able to trick Balder's blind brother to shoot him with an arrow that was made of mistletoe. Now, it's very interesting because mistletoe, in a lot of traditions, is something that can be used to make wands, specifically for doing any kind of protection workings or healing workings. And so it's fascinating to see how there's this connection point, that it was something that initially wounded and brought about that bad omen that came through Balder's dream. But as the story progresses, we find that Mistletoe became known as a plant ally of protection and healing and blessing and everlasting love. What followed was a lot of lamentation naturally, because though Frigga tried to secure this protection and this blessing for her son to avoid this fate, she was duped. The whole thing went awry when you got Loki in the mix, which, what do you expect? Whenever Loki's around, you can't count on anything. That trickster energy always comes into play. And often there is a trickster or a tempter or, one of these characters in the mix when we're dealing with mythology. Any good story has some kind of tricky element in the mix. And how do you get around that? How do you overcome that? So for 3 days solid, these elementals were working feverishly to try to bring Balder back to life, and they weren't having any success. And Frigga was just absolutely grief-stricken, and she was sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And the power of her love for her son Balder and that sense of loss she had gave a certain kind of alchemical power to her tears that transformed the red berries of the mistletoe to white. And it was when this happened that Balder was resurrected. And Frigga was so happy and so overcome with joy that she started going around kissing everybody under the mistletoe in gratitude for the return of her son. And she then gave mistletoe this special association with having the power of everlasting love, renewal, and rebirth energy. And so it became a symbol known to provide protection and to have this quality of everlasting love. You will notice that mistletoe always remains green. A lot of this greenery, that we bring in, the holly, the mistletoe that we provide the decorations for the mantle with and such, they do have this quality that they never wither and turn brown. They do have this kind of eternal quality to them. So the reason why we hang mistletoe and we hope for a kiss is to invoke a little bit of that protective energy, and specifically around protecting those that we love, those that are dear to us, and securing that spirit of everlasting love and protection, and to drive away the trickster, to drive away the evil that would thwart that. And that is why we bring these plant allies into the home and use them for decoration. It really is somewhat of a quiet working, a warding, you could say, to secure the home of any kind of intrusion that could in any way harm those we love, and to just drive evil away from our homes. So this is the time when you would be bringing the greenery into your home. You would start making your garlands and dressing up the mantle of your fireplace and just invoking that spirit of protection and love. And yes, kissing underneath the mistletoe just in gratitude to keep that evil at bay, to keep that which could lead to grief and loss at bay, and for the securing of the love of our loved ones and for them to be safe and protected. So I thought that was really interesting, and wanted to bring that in for all of you. It might be kind of fun, if you bring a little bit of that into your fairy godmother lovering. You can always gather, greenery, and you can make beautiful garlands. And maybe you can bring a little bit of that cheer into your neighborhood too, just kind of going around and dressing up things with greenery in your community. It's something festive, but it can be done very intentionally, where you're asking for love and protection for the collective out there, and is another way you can weave a bit of spirited magic into the season with intention, and do some workings for the collective to ensure that they are warded from any kind of ill influence, and that they have that security of love and protection around them as we move through the lean months of the winter season before we get to that rebirth energy in the spring. And that's what I have for you today. It's pretty simple today. We did quite a drop in for winter solstice. It took a bit for that to upload, but technically winter solstice didn't come in until the evening last night. So, you know, we got a good 24 hours to work with there. So it came in after the lights started to come in this morning. But I hope you got a chance to drop in with that winter solstice read. We did a little collective tarot with that, and brought in some messages about what's growing in our lives, the light that's growing in our lives. It took a little bit of an unexpected turn. It became more of a community discussion and how we can build community. And I appreciated that the energy went in that direction. But I will be back tomorrow with another drop-in, and I also am planning on doing some pre-records for Christmas Eve and actual Christmas Day, just to have something for you all to drop in with. And I decided, you know, for Christmas Eve, the tradition is to tell a story, even within Yule, even within Norse tradition. So what I plan on doing is something a little unconventional and out of the box, but I think it'll be fun. I'm going to tell you all the story of the time I met the Zetas. So prepare for a really out there down the rabbit hole Christmas Eve story to bring a new twist to holiday spirit. And I hope you'll enjoy that. It is quite a wild story, and it's one I haven't really shared with a lot of people. So I look forward to sharing that with all of you. And that'll kind of kick off something that I plan on bringing in here more. I want to share some of my out there stories that I've experienced in my own life. And I've had quite a few of them. I'm kind of known for that. I'm known for my anecdotes and things I've stumbled across on my own spiritual path. And, you know, it can go pretty out there, but I think you all will appreciate it here. And, you know, whether you believe it or not, I'll tell you that everything I'm going to share in that story is absolutely 100% true. It went down just like they'll tell you it. Okay. And, you can make of it what you will, but I think it'll be entertaining. I think it'll be fun and a little something different when everybody is used to kind of hearing the night before Christmas. You know, you can hear about, you know, aliens. So I hope you're having a good night. I hope you're having a happy holiday, and I'll be back tomorrow with more. And happy fairy godmother levering for all of you getting out there spreading joy and good cheer in your community. And for those of you who, you know, are taking that action and you're deciding to jump in and, you know, get into it, even though you may be kind of like finding yourself going through your own challenges during this season. I just want to say I really appreciate you. Thank you for being part of making the world a little bit more of a joyful, hopeful place. See you tomorrow.